Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Deborah Nidlick, and I'm a senior librarian for the Monterey Park Bergamar Library. And today joining me is Yushan Zheng and Nancy Ho from Chinatown Service Center's Behavioral Health Department. And we are going to be talking about how we as adults, parents, mentors can assist youth during crisis. Today's presentation is going to be recorded, so if you have to step away, no problem. We'll go ahead and post it to the City of Monterey Park's YouTube channel. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Sean. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the brief introduction. Welcome to the mental health webinar today. We were going to learn some fact about mental illness in children and parenting. And I would like to say thank you to Monterey Park Library for this opportunity, having us to share this knowledge with everyone throughout the webinar. Okay, so we come from Chinatown Service Center Behavioral Health Department, and today I will be your host, and my supervisor will be helping me at the end of the Q&A session. So if you have any question, please save your questions and concern or any thoughts at the end of our webinar. Okay, so a little bit about me. I actually graduate from Graduate School of Education Psychology with a master in clinical psychology. And then soon I registered as an associate of marriage and family therapist with Board of Behavioral Science, and to work on my clinical hours at Chinatown Service Center. And here's a little big picture of our agenda for today. So we will focus on the mental illness in children at the beginning, any signs that you would want to know and be aware of in children. And the second part, will more go into a little bit detail of two specific disorder that's very common in children. It's childhood mental disorder, and then the sign for that one and treatment. And same thing, I will talk about the most common disorder in children. It's ADHD. Any sign and treatment for that. We will talk more detail in these two particular disorders. And the third one, I would like to talk about different parenting styles and any like developmental milestones and parenting, and what can we do to help each our children at different stage or different age. And last but not least, would like to talk about how can we help our child during this pandemic crisis, how to improve social connection or family relationship during this time. So my goal today is really to help you understand mental illness in children, to know any signs or warning signs of mental illness in children, to really be aware of the impact of parenting, how our interaction with kids, how our parenting style can impact their development overall, and really be familiar with each stage, like the child developmental milestones. So the last but not least, we really to help you to learn more about how can we help the child or any youth around us. So let's go into our first topic of today, mental health in childhood, meaning research, reaching like developmental and emotional milestones, and learning healthy social skills and how to cope when there are problems. A mentally healthy child have positive quality life, can function well at school, at home, and community. And you can see that how mental health is so important in children, not just adults. And as they grow, it might carry on in adulthood. So it's very important for us to really talk about children's in mental health. So here's some most common mental illness in children. As I mentioned, we will talk more in detail in ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So here's just some fact about like the population and how the percentage play in each disorder. So there's the four most common. There's 9.4% of children actually receive diagnosed with ADHD. 7.4% of children have diagnosed with behavioral problems, and roughly 70.1% of child that have diagnosed with anxiety disorder, and then 3.2% of children have diagnosed with the depression here. So more facts about child mental illness in children. Actually, some of these conditions commonly occur together as the child developing, not just their brain changing, the body changing, and the environmental distress externally or internally change as well. So having another disorder is most common in children with depression. About 3 in 4 children around age 3 to 17 years with depression also have anxiety, and almost in 1 to 2 have behavioral problem here. Okay, so for children around age 3 of 17 with anxieties, more than 1 in 3 also have behavioral problem. So you can see all these numbers telling us that depression, anxiety, or depression and behavioral problem that can really occur at the same time in the child mental illness here. So in 1 in 6 US children age around 2 to 8 years old have diagnosed with mental, behavioral, and developmental disorders. As the graph show in this slide, you can see that diagnosis of depression and anxiety are more common with increasing age. And behavioral problems are more common amount of age, like 6 to 11 years old, or younger or older age for the child. And other facts here, I would like to talk more about how treatment or early treatment can help. So establishing diagnosis of our mental illness in children usually involves in combination of comprehensive medical, developmental, and mental health assessment. And so with kids that have mental illness can also have a lower educational achievement and greater involvement with criminal justice system. So early intervention tended to adjust the risk factor and really help strengthen the protective factors here. So unfortunately, the data from Centers of Disease Control and Prevention say that only 1 in 6 children age at 2 to 8 actually receive treatment from professional help. So what are any signs that we can be aware of? Children with mental illness may experience a classic symptoms of their particular disorder, but there are also signs that you can really see or observe from your child. For example, poor school performance or persistent boredom, and the other thing might be frequent complaints of physical symptoms such as headache or stomachache, or sleeping or appetite problem. They either eating too much, or they're eating too little, or they sleep too much, or they sleep too little. Other behavior returning to those at younger age can be a warning sign as well. For example, like bedwetting, throwing tantrum, also non-compliant or aggressive behaviors can be a sign as well. More risk-taking behaviors such as showing less concern for their own safety, meaning like running in the street, coming too high, engaging in a physical activity, or playing with unsafe items can be also a warning sign. So other signs that it's like more severe, like suicide in youth, can be like they might show they feeling hopelessness, worthlessness, being a burden to others, feeling trapped, or having no motivation at all that the activity they used to enjoy, or withdraw from feeling isolated from family, from friends. Other things might be sudden change in personality or behavior, or they wanted to give away their important belongings to others. So this might be a sign that they might be feeling very down, and more severe way they might have suicidal ideation or suicidal attempts here. So some facts about here, it's 1 in 100,000 children aged from 10 to 14 die by suicide each year. So for example, lesbian, gay, or bisexual children are actually 3 times more likely than straight children to attempt suicide at some point in their lives. So they might have a higher risk because of their sexual orientation or other stressor from peers or family, or the public. So what are childhood mental disorder? Mental disorder among children are described as serious change in the way children typically learn and behave, or how they handle their emotion, which cause distress and problem getting through the day. So many children occasionally have problems like fears, worries, or disturbing behavior. But if the symptoms are severe and persistent or interfere with the school, the home, or play activity, the child might diagnosed with a mental disorders here. So symptoms of mental disorder in children change over time as the child grows, and may include difficulty in how they interact with other children, how they learn in class, how they speak or act, or how children handle their own emotions at the time. Okay, so symptoms often stay in early childhood. Sometimes some disorder may develop over teenage age, but the diagnosis is often made in school year and sometime earlier. However, some children with mental disorder may not recognize or may not be diagnosed as earlier as they needed here. And what might impact the child's life when he or she might suffering from mental disorder? It can essentially affect other children, not just themselves. It can also affect the family of origin or other family as well. At the same time, they might also have other problems at home, at school, or even forming a relationship, forming a friendship at school can also interfere with their healthy development, and also impact their social skills and communication skills throughout their life. And some possible causes here I would like to talk about is first, biological. Mental illness tend to be associated with abnormal level of neurotransmitter, meaning the brain cells that we develop as we age, like dopamine in our brain. It can also associate with the size change in some area of the brain, or increase activity in other areas of the brain here. So the other possible cause here, psychological factor, might be associated with low self-esteem, poor body image, or tendency of high self-critical, or feeling helpless when dealing with negative events at school or at home. Childhood mental illness have also other have been reactions to environmental stress, including trauma, like being a victim of verbal, physical, and sexual abuse, or death in a loved one, or school problem, or being a victim of bully or peer pressure from the school or other peer groups here. Other risk factor also includes non-specific risk factor, meaning history of being poverty, exposure to violence, or being socially isolated here. So it might really result in low physical activity or poor academic performance, or lost relationship can be other possible causes here. So who can really help here? As parents, you know your child the best. If you ever have concerns about the way your child behaves at home or at school or with their friends, talk to your child's healthcare profession, or talk to a doctor, or talk to the teacher. They're really to learn more about how your kids behave, how your kids react a different environment, to gather a bigger picture, to know how my kids doing at a different environment. For youth, don't be afraid to talk about your feelings, to reach out to a trusted friend or adult. If you are angry, you worries, or have very sad feeling, because it's okay to talk about it, because it's very important to take care of your mental health as it is to take care of your physical health, to really speak up for your needs and really speak up how you feel at the moment, to let others know that you need help at this time. Other people can help is healthcare professions. Early diagnosis or appropriate treatment based on update guidelines are very important here. There's so many resources available out there to help diagnose and to treat children's mental disorders. And the last but not least is teachers, school administrators. So early identification is important so that the children can get help as quickly as they need it. So working with the family, healthcare professionals, working with the kids, if you ever have any concern about their child at school or like at the playgrounds, really work with the family or work with the other healthcare profession here can help the kid get help as soon as possible. So as I mentioned, would like to talk about the most common mental illness in children here. It's ADHD. So it's ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. It's one of the most common neurodevelopmental disorder of childhood. It is usually the first diagnosed in childhood, often lasts in adulthood. Children with ADHD may have trouble paying attention, controlling impulsive behavior, or overly active here. Some sign and symptoms that you might be encounter or you might be aware seeing is they might daydream a lot, forget or lost things a lot. They might get fidgety, unable to sit still. They might talk a lot. You will see that they can make some careless mistake or take unnecessary risks here. Have a hard time resisting temptation, having trouble take turns, or having difficulty getting along with other people. So some possible cause of ADHD here. Actually, a lot of scientists are studying the cause to really find a better way to manage or help reduce the chance of a person having ADHD. But unfortunately, it's still unknown. But there are some other possible causes that, for example, genetic, brain injury, is exposed to environmental during pregnancy or at a young age. Alcohol and tobacco use during pregnancy can be a cause as well. Premature delivery or low birth weight can also be a cause of ADHD. Okay. So for children with ADHD or younger than 6 years of age, the pediatric actually recommend that parent training in behavioral management as the first line of treatment before they try medication. So for children that actually at around 6 years old or older, the recommendation is really to include medication and behavioral therapy together. So parent training in behavioral management for children around up to age 12 and other types of behavioral therapy and training for adolescents are very helpful at around those age. And school can also be part of the treatment as well with the family, and they can really help to have a close monitoring with this particular age or particular diagnosis, and how much of the treatment help can really help the children to shift their behavioral problem, and as well as making change as needed as along the way. So here I would like to show you guys a little videos, kind of conclude how ADHD kids might feel, or as adult, some people might continue have these symptoms and how they deal with as a closing summary for this topic.
I took medication when I was a kid. Everyone said I would outgrow it, so I stopped taking the medication in college. Everything is so hard now.
I hate math. It's so boring. I know I'm bad at it, even though my teacher says I'm not.
I'm a failure. I can't remember to do homework. I lose things. I can't get anything right.
I hate feeling like I'm different, but I really am. Work seems like it's easy for everyone else.
These are the voices of people with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. Millions of American children, teenagers, and adults experience this disorder, which makes it hard to concentrate, pay attention, organize, and focus. Their lives are complicated because of it. I know. One of these voices is mine. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 9. Most kids with ADHD start to struggle with symptoms even earlier than that. I first noticed my symptoms in school when we began doing projects that took planning, and I got frustrated a lot. Later in middle school, I was on the basketball team, but I was always late to practice. Eventually, my teacher called my parents to talk about my grades, since I understood the material, but didn't turn things in on time. At that point, my parents, my coach, and my teacher all compared how things were going. And that's when my parents took me to see my pediatrician. ADHD can show up in 3 different types: inattentive, hyperactive impulsive, and combined. My symptoms were more of the inattentive type. I was having a lot of trouble losing things or forgetting things, not finishing homework, and organizing my work for projects and future assignments. My parents told me at first that they wondered if I had a hearing problem, because sometimes I would look like I didn't hear them when they talked to me. Other children also struggle to keep their attention in class, can look super distracted at home and school, and have trouble with details for things they're not interested in. Kids with more hyperactive or impulsive symptoms have trouble waiting for their turn. They might get up from their seats in class, run around when it's not a good time to do that, talk all the time, interrupt people, or blurt out answers. A lot of times, kids with ADHD can get into trouble, since the symptoms can look like they don't care or aren't respectful of others. But they do care. They just can't control it because of their problem with attention. While some people might have inattentive type and others have hyperactive impulsive type ADHD, still others might have symptoms of both, which is called combined type. If people show 6 symptoms from either of the first 2 types, or a combination of them adding to 6, they fit the diagnosis. While ADHD is most commonly diagnosed in kids, almost all of them continue to experience it as teenagers, and a majority still have symptoms as adults. Only some people grow out of it. The most important thing to know is that treatment for ADHD works. For little kids, this is behavior therapy that also includes their parents, so the whole family can be part of the solution. For school-aged kids and older, the best choice is medication or a combination of medication and therapy. I had behavior therapy where I learned some skills, like specific time management and organization techniques, that helped me in school and in my sport. I also took a stimulant medication that helped me focus my attention. Sometimes people find great help in non-stimulant medications, especially younger kids. For most people, ADHD medications really help focus and block out distractions. ADHD is a serious challenge for kids, teenagers, and adults who struggle to pay attention and focus in many parts of their lives. But there is hope. Treatment works. School wasn't easy for me, but with my therapy and medication, I learned what I needed to do to make it work. People go on to do well in school and succeed in their lives and careers, in spite of and because of their ADHD. I know, I did.
So how can, as a parent, help their ADHD children? Actually creating a routine. Try to follow the same schedule every day from wake up time to bedtime. And it's a chance to encourage your child to put like school bags, clothing, or toys in the same place every day so that they have less likely to lose them and really help them to build up this habit. Also managing a distraction like turn off the TV, limited noise, or provide a clear workplace for your child while doing the homework. Also can help them limit the choices to help your kids to not feel overwhelmed or overstimulate. Offer choices, only a few options. For example, having them choose between the outfit, like you want to wear outfit A or outfit B, or you want to, today, do you want to play toy A or toy B? So really limiting the choices so they know, like, it helps them to focus on the things that they wanted to. The other part is to be clear and specific when you talk with your kids, to really let them know you are listening, like when you're describing and what you hear from them to say. So give them a very clear and brief directions when they need to do something or help you on to do something as well. So other option you can try is to help your child to plan. Maybe break down a very complicated task into simple or short steps. For longer tasks, you can start early and take breaks, may help them limit the access. Also, you can use goals or praise or other reward, discipline effectiveness, and create positive opportunity. Can be like you offering them encouragement and really let them know they do very well at this time, to really can help them create some positive experience throughout learning the new skills or learning from school. And the last but not least, really to provide a healthy lifestyle, nutrition, food, lots of physical activity, really to help them to prevent the ADHD symptom from getting worse. So this is some ideas that as a parent, and how can you really help your child who suffer from ADHD to really help them manage their life along with like therapy or medication, things like that. So so that's the last part about mental illness in children, and I would like to go to our next topic here. It's about parenting. So there are many similarities between parenting style, although each parenting style is different. They can always affect everything from how your child feels about themselves or how much they weigh, to how much they weigh. So it's very important to ensure your parenting style is supporting mental and physical development of your children, because the way that you discipline your children and how you interact with them can really influence the rest of their life. So as you can see, there's a very very typical parenting style here, and I will share with, talk about it and explain it one by one. So the first one is authoritarian parenting. So for this one, it's more like a high demand and low response. It's just a one-way communication from parent to child, and that's it. So usually they will use rules, the needs of rules, and are not expanded here. And insisting excessive discipline and it's like excessive punishment to control the children's behavior. And this particular parenting style usually have high expectation with a limited flexibility. So for this type of parents, they might believe that children should always follow their rules without exception. The only focus here is to obey. Like you have to obey whatever I say. So for example, they might make rules that impose it on their kids without little regard or consideration of their children's opinions here. And the next one, we call it authoritative parenting. This one is more a caring, supportive, encourage independency. They actually take great effort to creating and maintaining a positive relationship with their children. So this typical one, it's more high demand and high response. So they will enforce the rule, but they will take their children's feelings into consideration. And they will also explain the reasons why behind this rule to really let them understand that really think of their children as a perspective, then really make it clear as an adult to that, oh, I'm an adult, I'm your parents, I'm taking charge, but I also want to enforce you the good behavior by using some positive discipline strategy here. And the next one is gonna be permissive parenting. For this type, is usually low demand but high response. For example, they rarely set rules or boundaries with their children, or they don't like to say no to the children. They don't want to disappoint their children. So most of the time, they only step in or interfere when there's a serious problem here. So the attitude might be, oh, kids will be kids, or they usually easily forgive and forget what the mistake the kids made, or they take it very easy most of the time here. So at this typical parenting style, they kind of forming a friendship, like instead of being a parenting role, they being their friends with their kids here. And then the last one, we call it unresponsive parenting. It's actually a very low demand and low response here. So usually the typical parenting here don't give any attention to their children, to their needs, to their happiness, or they're rarely aware of where their children is or who their children is with, with someone else, or they don't attend school events or parent conference much, or they barely spend time with their children. So for this uninvolved or like very unresponsive parenting style, they at the least aware of or bother to knowing what their children's doing and how their children's doing. They tend to have only a few rules at home, and usually there's not that many parenting or family interaction in this parenting style. Okay, so after getting familiar with different parenting style, do you know which one the best describe you or your parents? We can also share with each other at the end of the webinar at the Q&A section. But here I really want to go into the different developmental milestone and how parenting can play a part in each stage. So developmental milestones are the things that most children can do by a certain age. Children like reach a milestone in how they play, they learn, how they speak, or how they interact with other people. It's the best way to really know, okay, they at this age, they, as a parent, you might be aware, or you might observe some of the interaction, some of the behavioral or talking or calling, some of the action at different stage. So for age 3 to 5, you might be seeing your kids want to become more independent. They might want to begin to focus more on adults or children outside of the family. So they want to explore. They really want to ask about things around them more. So at some skills at this age, kids might know how to like naming color, showing affection. Maybe sometimes they will become more independent to want to know what's around them, like what's the environment or what's something that they can do. For example, some skills they might also to learn is ride a tricycle, using safety scissors, noticing a difference between boys and girls. Maybe they wanted to know how to help just themselves and unjust themselves here, and how they want to play with other children at this age, or really to ability to recall their stories or sing a song along. So as a parent here, you would want to read to your child, really nurture your love for books by talking to your children, taking them to library or a bookstore. You can let your child help with simple chores. You can encourage your child to play with other children. This can actually help your child to learn the value of sharing and friendship. Be clear and consistent with disciplining your child, really to explain and show the behavior that you expect from them. And whenever you tell your child no, and really follow up with what your child should be doing instead. Maybe you get down on your knees, you go eye contact, eye to eye level, to really show what you really want them to try next time and do better. Other things at this age, you can help the child develop good language skills by speaking to your child, complete sentences, or using a grown-up words. Help your child to use the correct words and phrases here. And the last one, you can really help your child go through the steps in solving problem when they're upset, giving your child limit number of simple choices. For example, have them to design what to wear for the day, when to play, or what to eat for snack. So for the next age, I would like to talk, it's around age 6 to 11. For this age child, they want to be more independent, away from family is very important. Friendship become more and more important for them. It's actually a very critical time for children to develop confidence in areas of life around this age. So there's some emotional and social change you might notice at this age. For example, they start think about their future. They start understanding more about his or her own place in the world. They're looking forward to find their identity here. They might also encounter more peer pressure at this age, are more aware of their own body as puberty approaches. So there's some sign that you might want to learn more about your child. So about parenting at this around age 6 to 11, it's to show the effectiveness of the children, such as recognizing the accomplishment, develop a sense of responsibility, to really talk about school and friends, to show your interest in school on your friends as well, to really help them set achievable goals. Family quality time is always really good to establish a close relationship with your children. And also you can get involved with their school and encourage your children to join any community groups to learn how to form other relationship here. So this is at this age, the next stage is 12 or 14. You might see their hormone change as their facial change, the emotional change as puberty begins. So at this stage, they might face peer pressure to use alcohol, tobacco, drugs, and to have sex. So other might consider eating disorders, depression, family problem may occur. So by this time, there will be a time that you want to really help your kids to face this problem, to really be comfortable talking with your kids about this sensitive topic here. So they might want to talk more about their own choices about friends and sports and studying. As you can see, they even more move towards to independency here. So at this age time, parenting style will be more honest, direct with your teenager, your teens, by talking about sensitive topic, as I mentioned. Show interest about their environment, their life, to really help your teen to make healthy choice by encouraging them to make their own decision, and actually really respect their opinions, but also take in counter of their feelings and thoughts. And last but not least, to really be clear about goals and expectation. So when there's really a conflict happens, it's important to be clear at this part to allow your teens to really share their input, to really share how they can how you can help them to reach their goal here. So as right now, there's a lot of current pandemics and a lot of things going on around the world. Some kids might also experiencing anxiety, loneliness, loss of social skills, school setback academically. Other challenge in the family might be domestic violence during the sheltering place. Parents or other main caregiver lost their job. The stress can also input it in child's mental emotional need as well. So they might not knowing what's really going on during this time, but if you really feel comfortable talking to a child, it can help them feel that sense of control around this pandemic crisis. So for what can we help, or what can I do to help my child during pandemic? Around age 3 to 5, you can really create a routine with your kids and stick with it. Really play with your children and be creative with them, and teach them a new skill each week or each month. And at this age, the social sufferer is still their family at this age. So they probably don't miss their friends at all. They just want to be with their parents. So really just have fun and be their playmate at this age 3 or 4, 5. So for age 6 to 11, it's really very similar to have a really routine set up with your child, but maybe partially academic and partially fun. Or you can connect the teachers to find out what subject your child needs to work on for summer, or set achievable goal together. Teach your child a skill such as cleaning, cooking, help them to learn how to use the dishwashing machine and learn how to run the washing machine, a dishwasher, or handling money. So at this age, their social interactions they need their parents to play with them, but they also need their connection with their friends. So that's why I want to kind of help go into this topic, that how can we help our child to socialize during pandemic. It's really, you can maybe ride a bike with a mask with them at the park, have a virtual play day on Zoom with other kids, play a game together, and there's a free 40 minutes you can with the Zoom software. The other part, you can really go for a walk at a large park or other open space, and of course always wear a mask or other protection. And the other part is to make a regular activity throughout the weeks. For example, ride a bike or do some physical activity as a family. So for age 12 or 17, like teenager age, something you can help them to do is also make family quality time here. Maybe you can try to play a more complex game together. Also teach a skill as more complex skills such as driving, learn a new hobby, a new sports, house chores, always new skill, cooking and learning. The next one will be making a routine academically. For example, playing future goal, maybe search about college or any plan for college. What about potential summer jobs? Research together what kind of job he or she is interested in. Really maybe share about your job experience here with your children. Okay. And how can we help at this age, like 12 to 17, to socialize during this time, to really give them a certain time to be on social media, but really monitor it. So you will want to set a limit with your child here. The other part, you can encourage them to talk on the phone or video by using Zoom or other platform, rather than just post or text their friends. The other part, you can also encourage them to go out walking, hiking as a family, as an exercise routine, to spend some family time, quality time together. The last one is really to take this opportunity to get to know your child's friends and learn more about them. And it can help you to go into their life and their personal and friendship relationship life here. So at the last part, I really want to let you guys know about what kind of service do we offer. We do have outpatient therapy at Chinatown Service Center. And for this program, we all go from young age and to the elderly, and we receive medical insurance in this program. We also have self-pay therapy here. So basically it will pay out of your pocket, and our minimum is $40, but it usually depends on your family income here. So we also have children's and family therapy service here. And we actually work with family. We go to do home visit. We work with children's social worker to ensure child safety at this time, and also teach parenting skill for the parents. And the next one, we call it CAPIC program. For this program, usually we work with kids under age 18. We offer free counseling, usually get the referral from school here. And the next group we usually call special service for a group. It's mostly for elderly. We actually just accept that patient who has Medi-Medi or medical insurance here. And we also have three groups here at Chinatown Service Center Behavioral Health Division. We have parenting group, and we have domestic violence group, which is domestic violence perpetrator group and domestic violence survivor group. And the last group we have is prevention and aftercare program. We actually help individual or family to provide linkage if they need any family counseling, couple counseling, or individual counseling. We also help them to link to other agency or to link for treatment and help here. And so here's a little bit about how contact information. We do have 2 locations at this time. One's in downtown Los Angeles in Chinatown. The other one's in Alhambra. And here you can see is our telephone contact number. If you feel more interested in learning about our agency, you can go on our website as well. And we have other department can help you besides behavioral health division. And thank you. That will be the presentation for today. And really thank you for your participation. So we will go into our last part, Q&A. If you have any questions or concern or anything you would like to share, here's your chance to share with us. And thank you again.
Thank you so much, Yushan. So we'll go ahead and unmute everyone. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and speak. And if for some reason it's not working, yourself. Did you have a question, Emmeline?
Is there is Monterey Park City addressing racial disparities in children and mental health?
Do you mean the library or?
I don't know.
Do you mean, do we have a location in Monterey Park?
Probably through education.
For workshop or classes? Sorry, I might not understand your question correctly.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So are you referring to parenting group or like other mental health workshop?
Anything?
Oh, anything? I'm not sure about Monterey Park, but if you're interested in, we do have like parenting group and domestic violence group here, as I mentioned. Yeah, so if you are as a parent, you would like to learn more parenting skills or anything that can prevent domestic violence, we do have a few classes here.
Emmeline, are you asking whether or not the city is offering any workshops or classes to address racial disparity? Is that what your question was?
Yeah.
Okay. So Deborah, maybe that would be a great thing for the library to address as the next webinar.
Yeah, we're definitely open to doing that because unfortunately right now the library is currently closed until further notice because of COVID. But yeah, I will definitely work with Chinatown Service Center to see if we can put something together. I am going to also reach out to NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, because they're also doing virtual programming as well. So maybe we can do one for youth and then one for adults. So that's a great recommendation. Thank you so much, Emmeline.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions?
No.
Okay. So again, thank you so much for taking an hour of your time today for coming to this workshop. Hopefully it provided you with some great information. And again, if you ever need any assistance, contact Chinatown Service Center. And also, if you go to the library's website, we do have something called a Consumer Health Resource Center that will have various vetted consumer health information focusing on mental health for adults, teens, and children. So, okay, so thank you again, and this will be the end of the presentation.
Thank you.